Now, what kind of reaction channel would I be if I didn't talk about the election? And I'm not sure how you guys, fall on the spectrum, whether you're on the left, you're on the right. But regardless, when a particular political party gets what I would call a beat down in the streets, I think it's important to talk about why certain things might have happened. And let's take a look and let's see what we could get into. And yes, it's The View. Don't judge me, but sometimes it's good to have a contrast. It's The View with Stephen A. Smith on there as well. Let's check it out.
ESPN host and political commentator Stephen A. Smith calls it like he sees it, and he joins us at the table with his view of the election 2024 and where we go from here. Our soon-to-be neighbor, right over there. Please welcome Stephen A. Smith.
Hello, ladies.
Stephen A., your thoughts on the election as it just went down?
I was surprised at how lopsided it was. I was not surprised by the outcome. I saw the outcome coming from a mile away. You
Now you caught what he just said. And then first off, this is not a post reaction. This is my first time watching it. I just saw Stephen A. Smith and The View, and I said I must react to this and give some of my opinions on it. But I'm with him. I kind of saw the outcome. However, I did not see the landslide. All right.
have to take into account, listen, we respect our president, Joe Biden, but here's the reality. He got into office. He promised to be a transitional president, to be a stopgap to pave the way for somebody else to come on board. Into the midterms, it was supposed to be a red wave. It did not happen. The Democrats was flying high. He felt the momentum because he was the incumbent. And instead of leaving, he decided to stay. When he decided to stay, the Democrats were in a quandary because they were expecting him to leave. Now he wants to stay. They're around him. They're seeing the fastball has dissipated to some degree. They're seeing that he's not what he used to be. And what do you do?
And let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's everyone be honest. This was not something that came from out of left field. And I'm specifically discussing the part where he talks about he's not a fastball. People have noticed this for quite a while now. All right. What I believe is the case is it's one of those situations where you're forced to acknowledge something when it's presented on the grand stage. And when by the time you turn around and you want to acknowledge it, it's a little bit too late to try to course correct, which is what I believe Stephen A. Smith is talking about right now.
About it. You grease the skids. There's no primary for him to experience. You let him go on stage June 27th, and clearly he was exposed. 3.5 weeks later, he's forced and compelled to step away because donors to the Democratic establishment, they were not going to support that. And then Kamala Harris is inserted. I don't blame her one bit. I thought she...
Same. It's as if saying, you know what? I don't want it. Like, store it all away. If you guys don't know how this politician stuff works yet, or the political game works yet, a lot of these politicians are pawns themselves. And that's just the truth. When you think that, the vice president's in charge, when you think Joe Biden's in charge, Joe Biden wanted to keep running for president. So if that doesn't tell you that he's not 100% in charge, I don't know what else will.
She did a phenomenal job.
Yep.
She went all out. She did what she could. But you can't overcome that kind of situation. And
I'm not going to say she did what she could. I believe she was in a tough situation where she was running for president. The country was not happy. And that's not my opinion now, okay? The country was not happy with the direction that the country was going in. And at the same time, she was telling everyone that everything was okay and the economy is doing well. You see, the thing is, when it comes to people as a whole, you can't tell them that something is going well based on numbers because people are still hurting. And when she was on that same exact show and she said, I wouldn't have done anything different, I believe that was the nail in the coffin. When she said she would not do anything different, everyone is saying, I'm in pain right now. And she's telling me she's going to continue the exact same things. She's not going to change anything at all. I think that's what got her right there. So I won't say she did the best that she could. I believe she was in a situation where she was either going to disrespect the president and say, I disagreed with him, or basically say, I do agree, and see what happened.
Remember, there's two C words that are incredibly important in America. Capitalism is one. Competition is another, because it's a metaphor for capitalism in a lot of people's eyes. Because you were inserted, even though you were the vice president and it was the Biden-Harris administration, you had folks who are independent. I'm not talking about those on the right, and I'm not talking about those on the left, just independents, who said, wait a minute, she didn't experience a primary either. And the last time we saw her in a primary was 4 years ago, and she didn't even make it to Iowa. They used that as an excuse to point to her level of inexperience. Then you got the war in Russia,
I don't know
Ukraine.
about that one.
You got the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Hamas and Hezbollah and all of that stuff. And you had Trump using codes. Look, do you want her? Where is she? Where's the interviews? Where's she showing herself? Where's the tough questions? Where's the interrogation? And he leaned on certain things. And you knew people were going to gravitate to that, because right now, as divided as our country is, fear comes associated with that. And because that fear was there, he fed off of it.
Yeah.
And people bought it, hook, line, and
As
sinker.
fashion
And that's why
generally
he's the
do.
president.
And Stephen, let me ask you, because I agree.
Honestly, I'm not sure what he's talking about. The fear of Kamala Harris being in power. What kind of fear do you think he's talking about? Because I'm not sure what kind of fear that he believed the American people had of having her as president. I believe that when it came to the decision of Kamala Harris, it was the fact that people were hurting. And for a good piece of that conversation, she was telling them that there was nothing to complain about because the economy is doing great based on numbers, when people were definitely hurting.
On all counts. There's a lot to unpack of what kind of went wrong for Democrats here. I think a factor is the working class feeling left behind, not reaching out to rural Americans.
Sure.
But what do you
That's a big piece. The working class. And honestly, my number one reason why I believe the Democrats lost this election is they moved in a direction where they forgot who their demographics were. If you guys have watched the news lately, you see them talking about their main group of people that are voting for them are college educated men and women. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that just because you went to college you're making good money, but in great part, if you're going to college, all the statistics are going to tell you that you're going to make more than the average person. You're going to make you're going to make more than the person that's that fell out of high school and is struggling by doing maybe a trade job on the side, right? So here they are telling everybody we're for the working class, yet at the same time they're bragging that they are the party with the most educated, college educated individuals. And then you start to speak and say, you know what? The people that aren't vote for us are the people who are uneducated. They don't have a college degree. I believe that's where they went wrong. They forgot that they are supposed to be going for the working class. And 9 times out of 10, I don't believe the working class is the person that's going there with a 5 to 9 year degree. And I say 5 because, all those years add up. And sometimes you're not going to finish on time. All right.
identify as what Democrats got wrong? And it seems like you agree Biden maybe should have stepped aside sooner.
He definitely should have stepped aside. I said it a year ago. I was on camera. Everybody was getting on me. I said it a year ago. He needs to step aside.
I don't think it would have changed anything, because the fundamental problem is when people are hurting, you can't tell them no, they're not.
Some heat.
You remember, though, that he said, does everybody remember he originally said he was just going to do it for 4
That's
years?
right.
Yeah.
That's what I brought up.
Right. And did you?
Result of it. And in this particular case, the Republicans were right.
So
It
you
worked.
think the Republicans are sort of an extreme fringe party?
No,
at this
I don't.
point?
I don't think that they're an extreme fringe party. I think that they're operating against those they believe are extreme on the left. Like, for example, when you
I don't see how you can necessarily let's first say this. Every party has their extremes. Whether you're on the far left or you're on the far right. Everyone has their extremes. But when you see the diversity of the group of individuals that voted for Trump during this election, they may not identify as Republicans, but they definitely did vote for that Republican. Black, white, Asians, Hispanic men won this election for Trump. That's just the truth.
talk about the LGBTQ community, I'm a fiscal conservative and I'm a social liberal. I'm fiscal with my dollars. I ain't apologizing for not wanting to pay high taxes to anybody. I'm not apologizing for that, right?
I respect
but
it.
outside of that, I'm pretty liberal. Live and let live, okay? But you had folks on the left that were introducing some things when we got in the whole transgender issue, and they were talking about bathrooms, or they were talking about males transitioning to.
And I'm gonna cut it there. That is one of those other issues. It doesn't really strike you as, you know, something that's really going to affect people in their day-to-day life, because the reality is, again, most people didn't vote based on transgender issues. What ended up happening was, I'm more concerned about feeding my family. I'm more concerned about being able to afford food, put a roof over my head, maybe one day owning a home. But then we see so much of this news cycle was covering things like how to abort your child. And that's going to be the number one issue. And that was a talking point. And it's going to be a woman's issue. And it's going to change the whole election. If you don't have enough money to feed yourself, you don't have enough money to feed the kids that you already have. For a lot of people, you go to the grocery store more times than you go to the abortion clinic. That's just the truth. So I believe that was really the deciding factor for many people. What is most important to American people? Yes, you know, the transgender issue might bother some people. You know, yeah, the whole sex change thing might bother some people. Yeah, but at the end of the day, none of that matters if I can't take care of my family. And that's just the truth. And honestly, that's what I believe. I believe it was two things. People can't worry about the third world problems, about what bathroom people are going to use if they can't afford to feed themselves. That's just the truth. And on top of that, they can't. I forgot the last part. Yeah. Either way, the people made their decision, and I believe this is a moment where the Democratic Party, instead of playing the blame game and saying they're racist, that's why they did this, they're misogynistic, that's why they did this. I believe this is a moment to say, where might we have left our support behind? What issues did we think were not that big of an issue that ended up costing us this election? Soul searching, right? All right, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it right there. It still bothers me. I can't remember that last point that I was going to make, but I'll get back into the groove once again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on this video. I appreciate you being here. Please like, comment, and subscribe below. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.